right, but I thought it was live if I just stream if I start to stream.
Yeah, I don't see it on the updated today.
Oh, there it is. Oh, son of a bitch. Hopefully it's not just starting now. I think I messed something up.
No, it's right here. It's live. I see it.
Yeah, but did it catch the beginning?
Oh no, it says started streaming less than 1 minute ago.
Yeah, I have it now live streaming, but so I wonder if we messed this up. Well, I messed this up the last couple of times too, because the videos show up afterwards, of course, but I don't know if the stream's ever been actually live. Well, who has experience with YouTube live streaming?
Never done that.
Not me.
Maybe. Okay, there's another thing. I just created a new one for this one. For the others, I copied it. So there might be a setting I forgot to start the stream as soon as the data stream from Jitsi is coming in or something. Anyway, that's besides the point. So I did want to talk about another topic, and it'd be great to have Justin back for that too, actually. But we'll start with your opinions, Steve. Yeah. So with this being the last week for the cohort, we talked about it briefly on our check-in on Friday, but what are your intentions to kind of after this week? Like, would you? I'm assuming you want to obviously continue on the project, right? Because like, at least from my perspective, you got enough signals that it would be worthwhile. Is that like, do you want to do that, or am I wrong on that?
Sure. I mean, I plan on having something midweek, for like an actual product, or mid-month. So I mean, I guess I would fall under the whole getting the MVP out and start gathering that information, that user information, and going
right.
that.
Yeah. So, okay. Cool. So, yeah. So do you think? Because Emmy and I talked about it. Do you think you would be interested in like participating in a peer group, like with the other guys from this call, and like continue on with that kind of similarly how we did it so far? I think maybe I would propose to set like weekly goals, for each other, or not for each other, for yourself, but you still keep holding each other accountable, rather than like this one goal of 1 month. Just have like, still have your weekly check-ins, have your live streams, the blog posts on Twitter and whatnot, but kind of revise your goals on a weekly rolling basis. But you keep getting together and try to help each other.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. It's definitely keeping me involved, and keeping me making me get up and do something for the project, so it's definitely helpful in that sense.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, because like my focus then after this cohort, of course, will shift a little bit. I'll focus on the new cohort, of course, which we have three participants already confirmed. Anyone out there, by the way, if you're interested in joining the second coStarting cohort, let me know. Shoot me a message. Go to costartup.co, or send me an email at me@iamsven. No, that's not my email address. me@svenh.com, or go to svenh.com, like my blog, right? You'll find it. But we're still looking for 2 projects. So far, we have notacommunity.com, we have plotmaniac.com, and we have a Kickstarter of an existing upcycling company. Well, not so much upcycling, actually reusing outdoor gear company. So pretty excited about that.
Cool.
Yeah, so I'm going to be focusing on that, right? And then also building that framework for the peer groups, as well as co-starting CoinDrop. So I'm kind of looking to you guys, if you wanted to turn this cohort into the first ever peer group, what would it be you need, or which would make it interesting for you, right? because that's kind of like a little bit, I see maybe there the potential to make the peer group a subscription in the future, or even now, if you guys are, if you're cool with it. I don't know, something like $5 a month, right? And you get the continued engagement in the coStarting community. You are, you have your group, and then as I build out a platform to facilitate the peer group, what I'm doing manually right now, right, with setting up the streams and giving you like the check-ins and all of the documents. Maybe we were spitballing earlier, maybe something like a framework where you can launch your weekly goals and then check back in on them, right? Something like that. Does that sound realistic? Do you think you would get enough value from this to subscribe to a peer group?
The subscription, I'm not sure. I definitely want to be part of something. I definitely want to continue it, with people, with this group, and see where that goes. I mean, it's just $5, but.
Well, that's no. I mean, $5 are adding up, right? We have a lot of these little tools which are $5. So
yeah,
I think for me, it's kind of what I'm looking for, from a feedback perspective from you guys is what would be the value proposition, and would it be enough to justify, paid subscription? Because there is the flip side too, right? Because what I would hate to happen is for you guys to commit to the peer group, and then 2 weeks later, things are fizzling out, and there's always just one person on the calls, because then you're not holding each other accountable anymore, because you have less commitment, right? And I hate that it is that way, but it's just like, well, I don't know if I want to compare it to a gym membership, because a lot of people pay and never go there either. But it almost needs to be like as expensive as possible, right? Like that's why masterminds work so well, because they're literally like $10,000. And if you shout that out, you're gonna go to those 5 sessions or whatever it is. But you're also getting the value in that realm, right? So it's kind of my desire right now to figure out what's the value for the peer group participants, which I think it's that group, right? Obviously, the accountability. It's a connection to the coStarting ecosystem, which, provided is still very small and very young, but hopefully will grow. And it's the potential of, getting value from the other cohorts, from other peer groups, and the platform as I build it out, right? So that's kind of how I have it in mind. I don't know if it's justifiable to start charging for it now. That's probably questionable. But that's also not necessarily a requirement, right? So, but what do you see, like, if in a perfect world, if X existed, then that would be totally worth it for me to pay for this on a monthly basis. What's X?
I'll answer that. In my case, I mean, this may not be the same case for everybody, but my world is, I got so many projects going on and so many groups I'm a part of. And with my real job on the daily basis on the retail stores, which is driving me nuts right now, I miss a lot of stuff. I forget a lot of stuff. I had a live meeting last night that I actually host every Monday, and I sat down and watched TV last night at 8 o'clock. I was like, crap, I forgot it. And it's a small group. I mean, we have 4 or 5 people, but I actually forgot it. So just some way to, and it's so funny too, because I even try to get like my calendar on or my iPhone to like have an alarm go off and like buzz me and stuff, but somehow to keep people engaged and remind stuff. I mean, I jump on a lot of stuff sometimes when I remember when I'm driving home or driving on the car and join stuff on the road and stuff like that. But it's so easy to get caught up on stuff and to get really engaged in something really deep. So in order to grow a group, it's, I get a lot of people from my other group that's like, oh yeah, man, you forgot to remind me. And I have them on a text list that I send out. Sometimes I forget it. Just getting organized to where you don't miss stuff. I would pay $5 for it.
Okay, cool. That's perfect. I love that, because specifically what you said about the connection piece, right? Because I don't know if you guys if any of you is on Clubhouse yet, but it's the drop-in audio channels, right? Where you just Elon Musk was live like yesterday or 2 days ago or something, and like just people are going crazy over it, wanting to hear what he has to say. That's one too many. But I think what's way more powerful with the goals of building startups and projects and making revenue from maybe the secondary, tertiary projects we're working on, that deeper connection is vital, I think. And that is, in my opinion, that's at the core of the cohorts already, right? Because at the cohorts we commit, there's rules. If we don't follow them, we lose $100. Might not be a lot, but that gets you in the door, and then you start building the connection with the other cohort members. You put your stuff out there, right? Like we're streaming every week, we're tweeting and blogging about it. We say we do certain things. If we don't do them, the world will notice. Now, I don't know if it's 1 million people, right? Probably not right away, but it still feels, at least that's how I feel. Would love to hear from you guys. If I say I'll do it and I don't do it, I'll let myself down, right? And I'm kind of afraid someone will notice and call me out of my bullshit, not just the cohort.
Okay. One thing to add to that, this is just a random thought that just popped in my head. I would love to figure out how to do, because I helped launch another cryptocurrency, and it was a co-host project where we all pitched in whenever we could. And I know GitHub kind of does this, but figure out an algorithm to where everything piles in to a score or a percentage base. You said about talking about ownership or something like that, to where if there's 100 meetings and you attend 50% and I attend 100%, then the score would be relevant. Or if you're in meetings and you participate a lot and talk a lot, you can have part of the algorithm where this person spoke for 15 minutes, this person spoke for a minute, this person didn't speak at all. That all adds into it somehow in the formula. And then at the end of the project, whenever you get ready to launch or you get funding or whatever, then you have people that have been participants and people that are not.
Yeah, I love that. So you're getting it already, right? So this is the coStarting methodology. And that's going to be incredibly hard to develop, right? Especially like it needs to cover everything. It needs to cover, meetings. It needs to cover marketers, lawyers, business development, coders, right? Code we can measure. That's somewhat easy. Maybe, assign like Scrum points or whatever. But doing that across the board, that is one of the goals, right? Building a system or multiple systems to measure contribution and assign a reward to it. And I call it reward because it doesn't necessarily have to be dollars or equity. It can be anything, right? Like whatever. And that's why I said earlier tokens, because a tokenized system could be both. It could be that ownership piece, but it also could have liquidity if it was traded on a market, right? So which is why I like that. But how do we come up with that algorithm? And that's probably a very complex system, not just one algorithm, to really help measure and value, kind of almost like assign value to individual tasks, right? That is one part of it. That's going to be a huge part of it, and it's probably going to take years to get even close to this. But we can also start with, again, if you like, fake it till you make it, right? So I'm planning on coStarting coin drop. I have no idea how to measure any of this. So since I'm assuming I'm not going to have 200 people right away wanting to work on this, I'm just going to figure it out day by day. And I say, okay, hey, Mike, you want to be a part of this? Great. Let's get together and decide on a couple of rules, right? Like how do we think we're going to measure our contributions? Or like, let's just do it manually, right? Like maybe we have a consensus vote instead of an algorithm, right? Where we say, okay, here are the things we commit to this week. Did we do them? Yes, no, 80%, 60%. And that kind of shifts that ownership piece. And of course, there is no token or equity system or dollars to get assigned yet anyway. But that's going to be one of the super interesting challenges, I think, as we go forward.
If you have just speaking out loud, if you have going back to old ICO days, and then a lot of the the non-fungible or sell, where you sell tokens, where you actually have a fair launch to where nobody actually gives money and it's all given for a participation in growing the network and such. If you were to have, say, hypothetically, if whatever the economics are, if you were going to tokenize it and have 21 million tokens, and you were to say, well, the startup is going to be 10% of that, and that's 2.1 million tokens of that startup, 60% for code, 40% for 30% for this, 10% for this. The meetings are 10%, and we're going to have 100 meetings, so each meeting is going to be worth 1,000 tokens. And at the end of every meeting, everybody gives some thumbs up to each participant, and then it's spread out appropriately. Just a thought. It'd be a way to get, it'd be a way to where, wait a minute, there's 1,000 tokens up to grab for every meeting. And if I participate and engage and get people in there and give good content, I have potential to get a chunk of that. Might be a neat way of distributing stuff. But,
yeah.
I know
I love that. Sorry,
Cardano's the project that I'm working with now. They actually have this project called Catalyst, and it's a startup funding program to where they're giving away, I think, 20 or 30% of the funds. It's $500,000 pool of funds, and they're giving away I think it's 20% of $1,000 or $100,000 to what they call contributors to who read the proposals and basically score them. And so it's actually to make participation happen in the ecosystem. So taking that step and making it a little bit further by engaging people in the meetings in each project or in each, trying to encourage the group to grow and really get people engaged in it. So it's just an open thought.
Yeah, that's exactly it, right? That's exactly the same concept, and I love that. I will look into the Catalyst project because I think at the core that's it. It doesn't have to be more complicated than that. Of course, my engineer, and that's what I said earlier, right? I over-engineer things. My engineering mind is like, well, we need to do that automatically. There needs to be a system which decides, is a meeting 1,000 tokens or what is it, right? And it's going to be dynamic, right? I kind of almost think you don't just get 1,000 tokens and they stay with you forever. It's like, as long as you are actively contributing, you're building, you're staking, right? Or whatever you could want to call it. But if you start dropping off or slacking, maybe it goes back.
No, that's a
right?
good point.
Or the other way, of course, if we think about traditional startups with equity, right? Like you have a co-founder leave who has 5% or whatever amount, and how do you fix the value for everyone else? Well, you could just issue more shares, right? Mm-hmm. So you just devalue whatever debt equity you have. So you can adjust for all of this, but this needs to happen automatically. The system needs to do that because that's exactly the stuff which is so painful in startups today. Mm-hmm. And it's toxic, right? It's toxic, and investors don't like it. Mm-hmm. But I also think if you have a system which automates ownership and measures contribution across the board, right? Not just for code, then anyone is a contributor, right? Anyone can be a contributor and a collaborator. And you could also consider an investment a contribution, which it is. It's a monetary contribution, right? Because of course the world doesn't run entirely on crypto yet. Certainly not whatever crypto we would be. Certainly not whatever crypto we would be, minting for this. So you have to pay for servers and all of this stuff. But I see this all being intertwined, right? Because we are building it out in the open. All of this stuff is completely transparent. Anyone who comes in, say the investor example again, they come in and they're interested in this space. They don't have to make you jump through hoops to do due diligence. No, they just simply follow along. And if they like what they see, they're going to turn into being a contributor, right? Monetary. So I think I love that your mindset is in the same space, right? And the examples on current existing crypto projects. Can't wait to look into that. Yeah. New face on the call. How's it going?
What's up, guys? My name's Chap. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good.
Hey.
Not trying to derail your guys' conversation. Sven invited me, and I just got done with a meeting, want to come check it out, say hey.
Perfect. Yeah, no, all good. This is the communal kind of meeting anyway. So, Chap, why don't you give everyone a rundown on what your deal is? What are you doing?
Yeah, so I'm working on a project called Rerouted. Rerouted is helping to streamline and simplify the used outdoor gear exchange. About 2 years ago, my fiance said, Chap, please go clean out all the shit in your garage. And I said, oh my God, what am I going to do with 20 years of outdoor gear? Where am I going to take it? And so started really thinking about this problem, finding ways to solve it. The first step I took was driving around the country in my truck and trailer, going to climbing events, rafting festivals all over the place. Now it's actually becoming a very big tech project where we're using data scrapers and pulling all the information through the uploads to make the used gear exchange be a painless, effortless exchange and make it feel like you're buying new stuff. That's really the goal.
What kind of gear is it? Just like it.
Camping, climbing, skiing, rafting, biking, snowboarding, anything outdoor adventure related. Although Sven and I have talked about it, really my hope is that once we nail this niche, if we do it right, the data structures that we're building for the used exchange really apply to any used marketplace. That we can really just facilitate this. It's all about matchmaking. So our uploader is about making it so all the data specifics aren't necessary for you, the uploader, to enter. We're going to make the computer do the work. So you get the sizes, the specs, all the information we need from databases. So the upload's really easy. And then we're being able to match that with customers on the other end so that you essentially get a live notification. Hey, I'm looking for size 10 hiking boots. Every size 10 pair of hiking boots, you get a pop notification, go boom, buy it. Thanks, done deal, on your doorstep, 3 days. And then the other kind of aspect of what we're doing is there's a Chrome extension that's going to make it so as you're browsing live gear or as you're browsing new gear, you're on Patagonia.com, REI.com. If we have a match of whatever product you're on that page of, hey, you want to buy it used instead? Here you go, buy it on your doorstep.
Cool.
I saw ads recently for Patagonia for actually buying secondhand Patagonia stuff, and I was like, oh wow, that's awesome and surprising.
Yeah, so that's worn wear, and there's a number of companies, Patagonia, REI, North Face, what they're doing is they're making it for their own products because they can just recycle their new listings on the other end. They say, hey, we have this Patagonia R1 jacket. We already have the product listing. All you do is you just discount it and then it's used gear. And so for us, what I'm saying is any Joe Schmo, wherever you got it, doesn't matter where the gear came from. If you've got something to list, come list it so somebody else can buy it and it can get out of your house and back into the mountains.
Awesome.
What I found super interesting when I first connected with Chap was that, like you call it used gear on demand, right? And I think that's super powerful because and that's where you're going, I think, right? So from the conversations we had so far is where I look for stuff all the time. I might not be ready to buy something, be that because it's too expensive, be that because I'm not ready to get really into it. Concrete example, I got into kiteboarding a couple years ago, and I never really did it, but I bought all of the stuff, right? And common issue, but it'd be great if there was a way, it's like as I'm getting into this, if I'm getting into a new sport, like I want to pick up martial arts again, right? Can I set alerts to just like as I'm living my life, if it comes up, it's like, oh hey, someone is liquidating their entire martial arts stuff. Are you interested in this? Like just that turning that problem around, right? And if you nail that, if you make that easy for me, that I don't, like you just said, I don't have to input like, okay, I want these gloves, that color, this size, right? But as I'm browsing, I have a Chrome extension where I say, hey, you know what? Like this is interesting. If that ever pops up, let me know. I think that's very, very powerful. And then of course you have a massive challenge on your hand with building the biggest database about this stuff in the world, right? But we'll solve that one day at a time.
That's right. You can't build the tower in a day. So you gotta just baby steps. What Sven is saying is what we've been laughing about. Our whole goal is to make something so you never need to come back to our website. that you sign up, you fill out your profile, and you never, ever need to think about it ever again. You get all the stuff you need, you get all the updates you need, and everything happens without you ever having to be back on Rerouted's website.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Like, I guess, like if I'm traveling somewhere and, you know, I want like a paddle board, I can just get a notification, or, you know, I'm moving somewhere new, you know, you got this is paddleboard country, you know, this is go here. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
Yep, that's exactly right. And my dream is that one day it's just the upload is literally just a picture and what condition is it in, and we're able to source all the rest of the data with kind of what exists. So you snap your picture, I want to list these boots, you list it, and then all of a sudden that transaction can happen almost instantly because we know all the people that want to buy this product already. Yeah. So you list it, it's sold in 5 minutes, and we send you a shipping label and you're done. And you never have to think about that ever again.
Are you focusing like as a stair step, like in one area right now, like where you live, or somewhere where there's a lot of gear transactions happening?
Yeah, yes and no. That's a great question. Yeah. I grew up in Seattle. I went to school in Denver. So those two areas are both kind of hot spots, and I have a pretty good network. I'm currently in Taos, New Mexico, and this is also a good outdoorsy area. Yeah. But honestly, you guys, I get 100 hits on my website every day from all over the country. Yeah. And I'm pretty deregulated in that sense because to me, it's all about getting the gear moving. It doesn't really matter where it moves to and from.
Okay.
Yeah, what's also interesting, tell them about kind of the growth strategy a little bit with partnering with all of these mom and pop, gear shops, because I think that's going to be a vital aspect of, you becoming that leader, right? And almost like white labeling for them, so they have their own store, but all of the data goes through you as well. It's kind of like, I hate to say it because those comparisons are always a little cheesy, but it's like the Amazon for that kind of stuff, right? Where you allow anyone to do that. And make it super simple, because these people are generally not interested in running an e-commerce store. Those are outdoor guys and gals who just try to make a little bit more money, doing what they love, right?
Yeah, and I was laughing when he was talking. They are all the most aggressive Luddites you will ever meet. These outdoor used gear store owners, they don't want anything to do with technology. They don't want anything to do with e-commerce. They don't want to list it. They don't want to deal with it. So what I'm trying to do is take all of the effort out of their hands as quickly as possible. You list the gear and then you're done. We're going to market it. We're going to do the sales. We're going to make the calls. If there's a return, we're going to deal with it. Anything that happens, we're going to deal with it. You just need to put your gear online and then throw a shipping label in a box, and UPS is going to come pick it up. And that's as easy as it is for all of the used gear store partners. And that, like Sven was saying, this originated when COVID hit. And I realized that every single used gear store across the country was shut down. They were not doing business. They needed to get online. None of them had the tech to get online. And I did. So that's where we're at.
Yeah. That's very cool. Also, I want to mention that Chap told me yesterday that they're raising a friends and family round right now. So for anyone who's watching, get in touch with him or get in touch with me, and I'll put you in touch with him. Yes. I think you're raising 100,000, right?
Yes, sir.
Cool. So pretty interesting. Get in the ground floor. Get favorable rates. I think it's a very, very needed product and a very mission-driven, value-driven company. So I'm super excited. And then also you are joining our second cohort.
Yes, sir. That happens in a couple weeks. We're going live on that. I'm excited.
Sweet.
Yep. What are your plans to do in the cohort?
I think that we're going to tie that project into a crowdfunding campaign. I think is our fundamental goal is that we're going to launch a big crowdfunding campaign beginning of March. And the idea is that this service that we think can be really easy and applicable across the board. And we'd really like to see that happen. And this crowdfunding campaign is going to give a bunch of people, I think, service to the platform for free for a really long time is what the nature of the crowdfunding event is going to be.
Awesome. That's going to be fun. Yeah. So far, I was mentioning it earlier in the beginning of the stream. which I think I fucked up, and that probably didn't get actually streamed on YouTube, so that's my bad. But for the next cohort, so we have you in the cohort, and then we have notacommunity.com or .co. I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly what it's going to be yet, but Lou, who is going to run this project, said he wants to build a community, but it's called Not a Community. So I'm assuming, wild assumption here, that he's upset or fed up with aspects he sees in existing communities, and he wants to do that differently, right? And then we have Timo, who is starting Plot Maniac. His desire was to write a novel, and he couldn't find any tools to help him really do that, not in the way he wanted to do it. So he's setting out to do it better. So pretty excited about that. We're still looking for 2 more. If you're interested in joining this next cohort, our preliminary start date is February 15th, so Monday in 2 weeks. And if we get those 2 more people, then we will hold that start date.
I have some good thoughts for you, Sven. I have some good intros to send out. I'm pretty excited. And you guys all here did the cohort. Is that right? Is that the other people in the group, Sven, the first one?
Missing 2, me and Emmy and Sven.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, Mike just jumped in. He's a crypto savant, I want to say, and he noticed my launch. I launched my cohort project on Product Hunt earlier, so he noticed it and said, "Hey, I would love to chat about that." And so I said, "Yeah, hey, join the the live stream here. That's the easiest." Mike, I muted there was some feedback from you there for a second, but.
Oh yeah, sorry, I was just saying, hey.
Cool.
I sent your email out.
Awesome. So I'm gonna waiting for the floodgates here to open.
Yeah.
Sweet. Thank you so much. Yeah. So this is by the way a great example of why I'm so bullish on this idea of coStarting. Just with this first cohort, right? Like the things we're helping each other with. I started this Product Hunt project today. Steve offered to send it out to the community he built. He has, I think, like a couple hundred followers on Twitter, right? And it's you tell him actually.
It's just a Slack community. It's like 650 people, but anything that could definitely help anybody really. And I use it to really just like get people over any issues they're having in terms of like ideas, in terms of like how to grow, or maybe some quirky idea how to market their product, and also just a place for them to get some growth, get some traction somehow. They can. I don't charge them for anything. They can come, and I'll just send out an email blast. If they have a Product Hunt launch, I'll make it like the main thing of that email. So yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Very much appreciated, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So, Mike, you said you would love to chat about CoinDrop. Did you have any specific questions in mind, or any thoughts on that? We're happy to dive into that for a couple minutes as well.
No, I definitely like the idea. Excuse me, I'm having internet problems here, so I'm trying to get my internet back up. I'm on cellular, but welcome to the internet world. CoinDrop, I just want to learn more about the project. I mean, it sounds like it's a very exciting, concept on there. And I've actually had another projects on the back, burner that that may actually integrate into it also on the payments platform. So we may have some good chat on once I learn more about your project and how it works, because there's definitely a need for it. I tell you a funny story here. Like I said, I have a retail store, and I had a customer from way back when. I don't know if you remember, there was a David from the Bitcoin crypto group back in 2017. He actually came to the store and he wanted to just buy some stuff, and for like $30 worth of stuff. And he was like, "I want to pay with crypto." And I was like, "Awesome. I do that 10 ways over. And that's great. Well, what do you want to pay?" "I want to pay with Cardano." I was like, "Great." So I have the PoonDX machine, which is the PoonDX POS process machine. It's actually like a credit card swipe. I got it right over on the counter. It's awesome. I don't know how to use it. I don't ever use it. But so I set off an adventure to do the accept the Cardano. And I mean, I'm a Cardano payments developer. I should know this stuff. But in reality, we spent 20 minutes trying to figure out how to accept Cardano. And at the end of the day, he left. He goes, check back with me tomorrow and tell me if you got it. And, it was so sad. And he was sending it from his crypto.com account, which is a credit card account, which is payments. That's like the leading aspect of payments. And it's disgusting. We couldn't figure out how to get it to my account. It wouldn't send it just to a regular address. And it kept saying address incorrect, which is just bizarre. But apparently they have a locked ecosystem. So you have to get it out some other way and sell it. And it was strange, but it wasn't real friendly. So I would love to see how you can actually do it with, a little easier way. And, as mundane as that sounds, because crypto is really easy to send to address, it wasn't.
Right. Right.
Of course, I had multiple addresses, and I didn't know which account I wanted to send it to, but we kept trying them. And so if you send it from a original wallet to original wallet, but a lot of these third-party apps like PooDX is a payment processing system, and Cardano.com, even Crypterium.com, is very complicated.
Right. Yeah. So that's interesting. And that's the locked ecosystem. I have no idea what that would mean for, making that a coin drop acceptable coin. Right. But I just figured I start with Bitcoin because, biggest name in the game. And so there is a couple of approaches on how I'm intending to propose to tackle this, of course, because we're gonna co-start this project, right? So the community will ultimately, the crowd wisdom hopefully will decide on how we go about it. But of course, the simplest I thought about at first is, well, we just map the cryptic address to that string, right? You have the downside, of course, it will only work through coindrop.me's website or app or whatever. But it could be as simple as that, right? And even more simplified, for now, it could just be, all right, it's only the people who actually have an account, because then it works like with no problem, right? So if both have a coindrop.me account, it would work. Then you get feedback like, well, but then you need to store the private keys and stuff like that, and that's dangerous. And that's true, but you're also not walking around with your entire bank account in your pocket, right? So maybe your CoinDrop account is just, there's like $500 in Bitcoin in there. Because you're afraid if something happens, if CoinDrop got hacked or something, you lose that. But I think similarly or generally, my first desire here is to make it more acceptable, more usable for anyone, right? Like, let's just make the system so it works like any other payment system we're using today, any digital payment system at least, right? And then we can figure out how do we make it the safest system in the world. That's kind of at least my approach. There's a bunch of other approaches we can take. There's actually, I forgot the name now, but I was blogging about it. There is a protocol which is on DNS, right? A DNS protocol which is similar to that. It's like your email address, Sven at myname.com, but it's like Mike $ coindrop.me, right? So that would be your wallet address. So that's pretty interesting too. So we could look into, integrating that. But again, I'm not, the oracle of crypto transactions. So I just have had this idea and wanted to throw it out there. And I hope that, enough people who know much more than me are gonna join in and make this a reality.
Well, yeah, I would love to try that and talk to you about that. Join part of the team and brainstorm on that, because there's definitely a need for it to make things smoother. On there, everybody says use the ledger, and I've got that too, and that's still better.
Right.
Well, and I was just going to double in on that and say, for a guy like me who, even though I'm running a tech business, I'm not a tech guy. I don't know anything about it. crypto is so daunting and overwhelming to me. Like, I don't want anything to do with it because I'm terrified that I'm going to do it wrong. Just from a pure tech standpoint, I mean, you see all those horror stories of people losing boatloads of money because they can't log back into their stuff. And I can't even keep my Google password straight. So I'm in deep trouble if I need to remember something like that. So I love the idea of making it all simpler and more user-friendly for the everyday person that doesn't know a lot about how it works.
Right. Do you have Venmo or something like that?
I do have Venmo.
Okay. So if Venmo works for you, then like that's the level of simplicity we need to get to, right? Like I think at least.
Without a doubt. I started using Venmo, and there's another one I started using, but they're amazingly quick. And when we get to the crypto to that level there, that's when mass adoption comes.
Right. Yeah. Because it's like, I resist using a lot of these things in the beginning myself, but then eventually, like people ask you more and more. It's like, hey, do you can have Venmo use? Like, yeah, all right, let me download the app, whatever. Right. I don't care. I really don't. Usually it's like petty cash anyway. Right.